Hola, familia, and welcome to another episode of Fire and Butterflies, where vulnerability meets authenticity, where courage meets love, and where fire meets butterflies. And I'm your host, Comadre Cristal, and today I have a very special guest. And this guest, I just have to share before I introduce her. I met her in the most unexpected way because I never in a million years would have thought our paths would have crossed the way they did. And when I met her, it was actually in another uh, program where they were trying to help a lot of us spiritual entrepreneurs,
Entrepreneurs.
yeah, how to do our thing. And I was just like, I need help. And I just connected with her, and I don't know what it was. There was just an instant vibe. I fell deeply in love with her, and I was like, I need to connect with her. And this is Meghan. Meghan is a transformational mindset coach. Honestly, Meghan's a badass coach. So I'm just going to call her that, badass coach, not transformational mindset coach. Sorry, I just changed your title, Meghan.
No, it's okay. Do you know how many times I change it? I'm like, am I really that? No, I do work a lot with the mindset, and I do help support people, specifically women, moms, transform. So yeah, it's
No,
okay.
I love that. I love it. So go ahead, Meghan. Yes, please introduce yourself. I gave everyone my introduction, but please introduce yourself.
Well, okay. So yes, I am a transformational mindset coach. That is my title, but I do a lot more than that. But mainly, I work with moms who found themselves lost in the whirlwind of balancing family responsibilities while striving to meet society expectations. By facilitating mindset shifts, they feel empowered to release the pressure of trying to do and be everything, which then allows them to experience the freedom of being themselves and self enjoyment. Because, dude, you're a mom, I'm a mom. We always feel pressured to like make sure everyone is taken care of,
Yeah, we
everything
do.
is taken care of. We lose our sanity in the process of doing it. So I have shifted my mindset to be, you know what? Am I allowed to cuss on here before
I
I?
cuss all the time, so hell
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
you are.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I do it online, but I'm like, fuck it. I don't know. I don't have to deal with this. So I put that mindset in mind. Of course, I had to do a lot of other things to shift my mindset. So I help support women who want to transform and shift their mindset so they can, really love themselves and really enjoy their life, because nobody wants to wear all hats all the freaking time and do
No, we don't.
everything all the freaking time.
Mm,
So
mm.
that's me. That's what I do. And I also have my own podcast. Well, I have two different ones, pretty much doing the same thing that you do. But yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's
I
me. That's what I do.
aka badass coach, like I said, everyone. You know, as you were saying this, and this is the first time I hear this introduction because I've heard so many of different introductions, by the way. But this is the first time I hear this one. And as I heard you say it, the first thought that came in my head was, where the fuck were you 2 years ago when I really needed you?
I was working on me, bitch. I was working on me. No,
Oh,
I've been transforming myself for the past 10 years. Okay.
wow.
Little by little.
Yeah.
I haven't mastered life yet. I don't think anybody gets to master life
No.
because life is always changing, it's always
Hmm.
shifting. So, yeah, like, but yeah, I was transforming myself.
Well, so let's talk about that. So yes, because 2 years ago I would have loved to have connected with you, but that's okay. Divine timing. I'm glad I'm connecting with you now. Uh, so tell us, like, being a transformational mindset coach. How did that happen? What was your rock bottom? At what point in your life were you like, this is what I need to do. This is my purpose in life, and I want to make this happen. Tell us
Okay.
what.
So growing up all the way till I was in my late 20s, I have experienced abuse in all different forms. And, I was born and adopted into not to, okay, this isn't supposed to sound racist, y'all, but I was born and adopted into a white family, a white American family.
It's not
I would,
racist at all. No, we have to be honest with. I'm a foster mom, and you know this. I don't
yeah,
know if a lot of my listeners know this. At this point, I think I've shared it quite a few times. I think it's a legitimate topic to talk about when biracial families are formed, especially if a family of one race is bringing in another child of another race into their home.
yeah.
It's not about a white or black or Mexican or Hispanic or Latino or Asian, or like, it's nothing about that. It's a race and another race. There's going to be differences there. There's always going to be,
Mhm.
and it's not a racist thing. So it's not racist, Megan. 100% it's not
Yeah,
racist.
I know, but I gotta clarify that for some people because okay, so I was born and adopted into a white American family who my dad was stationed in the Philippines. So I am 100% Filipino. And I know that now after doing a DNA test. I thought I was
Oh,
mixed with something else.
oh, I didn't even know you didn't know that. Wow.
I didn't know anything about me. I don't know
I'm sorry.
nothing.
I
I
I mean, but you did know you were adopted, right?
I did. I
Okay.
did.
I
I
just wanted
did.
to make sure you're growing up in the white family the whole time. I'm white. And I'll be like,
You,
girl, you ain't not white.
no. Do you know I say that when people like when you go on those jobs like and you fill out the questionnaire and you're filling out the application, what
Mm-hmm,
race are you? White and Asian.
mm-hmm,
I put that because I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm like the whitest freaking Asian you will ever meet,
mm-hmm,
which I get told that all the time. I'm like, look at my family.
mm-hmm.
They ain't Asian. I
Yeah,
wasn't raised Asian.
yeah.
But anyway, so I was born and adopted, and my mom and I didn't have the best relationship. She was abusive and like verbally and physically up until like a certain age, um, emotionally, mentally, and I once I got out of high school, I got into another abusive relationship. I say another, but I married into another or married into abusive relationship. Finally escaped that one, and here I'm like, this the one that hit me rock bottom was my last relationship. Like he had known everything about my past, and he twisted it and turned it and knew how to maneuver to get me to do anything and everything that he wanted. And he took the abuse to a whole different level.
Mm-hmm,
And I got sick and tired of being controlled. But I knew I couldn't leave. He had like the strongest hold on me because he had eliminated all my friends. All the friends that I had were ones that he chose for me
mm-hmm,
and ones that he allowed. And I the only reason why I stayed is because he knew my trigger was my kids.
mm.
I would never put my kids in a situation that would cause them harm.
Yeah, of
Okay.
course.
So he knew that. But what did it for me was when I let my oldest at the time, well, he is my oldest, my biological oldest, shall I say, he started school and I would walk him to the bus stop. And this was my only 45 minutes of freedom to be myself. This was the only
Mm,
type of freedom that I had. No, he couldn't. Nobody could tell me what to do. Nobody could tell me how to walk. Nobody could tell me what to listen to. It was the 45 minutes of, okay, I get to feel me. I get to be me. I get to do me.
Mm-hmm.
So I got
Mm-hmm.
45 minutes to myself walking around the neighborhood. And the reason why I say 45 minutes is because me and this person had a kid together. And this kid, our kid, he did not like anybody but mommy.
Mm.
And the if he woke up and I wasn't around, oh, all hell broke fucking loose. And so I knew I had 40 minutes, 45 minutes to be able to do that before he would wake up.
Yeah.
So I went to the bus stop, dropped him off, and my neighbors who lived right next door to us had said, "Hey, why don't you come over and have coffee instead of your walk?" And in my mind, I'm like, you know, that does sound good. And I was like, yeah, I'll do it. Mind you, my neighbors know everything. Like they hear and they see shit all the time. I
Neighbors
mean,
know shit. They do.
they
They
do.
might act dumb, but no, we know.
And,
We
and
know.
and
We
they
know.
have offered help. And they jokingly do it. They would always say, "You grounded today?" And of course I'd be like, "Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
am." That's how they would play around with it. And so I was like, you know what? Yeah, I got 45 minutes. I can have coffee. I haven't had coffee yet. So I go there. Well, it exceeds the 45 minutes. And then my phone starts to blow up. Who is it? It's him. He's like, "Where the heck are you? And what are you doing? I bet you're talking to another guy. I bet you're doing this. I bet you're doing that." I'm like, "Shut up. No, I am next door having coffee." He goes, "Well, your kid's awake." He is not just my kid. He is your kid too. And so I ignored the phone and was like, "No, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to enjoy myself." And he wouldn't leave me alone. I finally was like, that's it. And my neighbors had, prior to this experience, um, they had offered me, they had said, "Hey, if you ever need to get away, we have a room for you. You can stay with us." And I didn't take him up on it. I said, "No, I'm cool. I got it. It's cool." Well, when he wouldn't leave me alone and he was forcing me to come back, I was like, okay, he's taking my last bit of freedom that I have left, my last bit of sanity that I have left. That I walked out of my neighbor's house, walked in, I said, "I'm done." And this time, I know I've said it before, but I meant it this time. I said, "I'm done. I can't do this anymore." I started packing things up, the little ones screaming, crying. And he was just like, "You're going to come back. You're going to come back." Basically saying, "You're not going to make it in this world without me. Like, you've got nothing." He's like, "Where are you going to go?" I was like, "I'm going that way." And I pointed to the neighbors. And that was the moment when he started spewing all I say spewing. He started spewing all this stuff at me. It was like this fire that had been lit in my freaking whole body of saying, "No, I'm taking my power back. This is the last bit of shit I got left of me, and I'm using it to finally step out and rediscover myself and make something of myself." Because literally, like I said, from the time I was born, I'm going to say from the time I was born to that moment, people have been telling me and controlling me in every type of way that it wasn't me. And I got sick and tired of it. Like I've been beaten down literally. I've been verbally assaulted. I've been like mentally and emotionally, like brainwashed into thinking that I am nothing and that I can be nothing, that I won't amount to anything. But somehow in that very moment, it was like, no, Megan, you are somebody. You have to take the step to finally do it, to finally say, I've had enough. It's time. I did. And even though I'm going to say this, even after I did, you know, even though he was right next door to me, it was, he still had control over me. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we had a kid together. I had
Mm-hmm.
to see him because I don't believe at all that kids should suffer even though the mom and dad
Mm-hmm.
aren't, together.
I hear
But
you.
that was like the deep pivotal moment that said, it's time to shift that freaking mind, Megan. If you don't want to believe it, then you've got to get out of the atmosphere that's making you believe it.
Mm.
And so, yeah, that's what hit me fucking hard.
Wow. Wow. Megan, I just want to take a moment and and express just the amount of admiration I have for you. Because working in the field for 10 years, as you know, and as many of my listeners know, I worked in the field of domestic violence for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I know firsthand. One, my mom was also a victim of domestic violence. I became a victim of domestic violence in my early 20s. I know the amount of courage it takes to just step out your door and say, I am done.
Mm-hmm.
You did it. And I'm so I admire you so deeply and so widely because that courage, that like what you described, your that fire that lit up inside of you. Wow. And to
Yeah.
look at where you're at today and to look at how much you have transformed. Like no wonder transformational mindset coach, aka badass coach.
Girl,
Oh,
it really wasn't easy because
and of course, yeah. And the best part is it's not easy. So keep going. Tell us more. Tell us.
but like, okay, so I grew up in the household that I grew up in. My mom drank a lot, and I was the only one adopted in my family. Out of five kids, I was the only
Mm,
one that was adopted. So I I wasn't picked on a lot, but I was the target of
yeah.
her anger. Whenever she was feeling stressed, whenever she felt like angry, it was just like, bam, you're it.
Hmm. Hmm.
I'm gonna take it out on you. Even though I know she wasn't like, I don't know how to put this in words. Even though I know it was like she was using me as a punching bag, I think it was just like, oh, I'm gonna choose you because you're there.
Hmm.
Because the moment when we all, I want to say my sister is 11 years younger than me, but when my brothers and I, because I have three older brothers, when my brothers and I, we were old enough um, to leave the house, to go hang out with friends, the moment my mom popped open a bottle, my brothers were like out the door. And
Oh.
I'm like, fuck, she grounded me. I have to stay here.
Mm.
Man, like, because I was always in trouble for stupid things. And when
Hmm.
I say I will say some things, I did stupid things and I deserve to get punished. And, I will hold accountability for that. But a lot of the shit, I was like, why?
Hmm.
Why? But my brothers would leave and I would be the one left with my mom.
Hmm.
Um, so I went from that and then I went into this abusive marriage, and like the reason why the last one hit so hard is because I vowed I would never ever do that to myself again, and there I was in it again, but 10
Mm.
times worse.
Mm. Mm.
So it was like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I finally learned the freaking lesson because I'm happily married. I've been with the same man for 10 years and and I'm like, yay, I broke the freaking cycle.
Oh, oh, see, there's always hope. There's absolutely always hope and faith and keeping that faith. I love that. I
Uh,
love that. So after you left your that unhealthy relationship, that toxic relationship, and you're like, okay, I've had enough. I got to keep going. Is that when you started going into holistic uh health like care, or
well,
because
okay.
I've never heard of transformational coach, so that's why I'm just like, okay, or a mindset coach. So I'm curious how what led you to this point.
Okay. So before, like in the midst of all this, I have always been a spiritual person. Okay. I believed in holistic healing. Like that has always been me. My mom can tell you that no, like she refused to take medicine. She refused to do this kind of thing. She wanted the all natural route. It's just been me. And that's just who I was. Um, so, I grew up in a strong Catholic family. So a lot of the things that I do now were not like approved. Just put it that
Mm-hmm.
way. They were just not approved of. So when I finally stepped away, and this is why I love my husband so much because, I stepped away and I was like, I don't know if I want to be a part of God anymore. I'm not there anymore because, well, my last relationship, he made me go to church and he would
Mm-hmm.
twist the sermon and say, see, God told you to do this. God told you that you're supposed to do this for me because I'm the man. And I'd be like looking at him, I'm like, and this is why I don't like religion.
Mm-hmm.
This is why
Religious
you will
trauma.
not. It was just like a big no no to me. And so my husband had told me, he's like, well, and mind you, my husband's an atheist, okay? He is, okay? So he was just like, well, why don't you go to church? He's like, I want you to listen to whatever the sermon is about and see if it does anything to you. And if it does, continue going. If it doesn't, then maybe find something different. And I'm all looking ahead at him like, you're an atheist. Aren't you supposed to be like telling me not to? And he goes, no, you're going to believe what you believe. If it's human. You are human. You're supposed to have faith in something. You're supposed to believe in something. So I was like, but you're atheist.
I know, of all people, that I'm impressed.
I know. I too was. I was like, dude, this isn't right. So, but I went and I wasn't feeling it. So I was like, okay, now what am I gonna do? So I started, like I said, 10 years I've been working on this. I started studying all these different things. I literally studied all, practically every religion and was like, what the heck? We all want the same thing, but y'all seem to want to hate each other because apparently y'all think you do it better. Um, I I can we just all just be love? That's it. That's all I want.
Yeah. Mm.
So I came to terms with that, and then I was like, I dived into I've always known that I had healing hands, and so I became a Reiki practitioner while I was a teacher. Um, yeah, I was a school teacher. And I did that on the side under the table because I knew where I live. Um, they, I want to say, I don't want to say it's the Bible Belt. At first, I did believe I lived in the Bible Belt because the school district that I'm in, it's so like, hey, let's pray, let's do this. And my other teachers that worked with me all knew, they knew about me, and they knew like I wasn't for that. So they would peek up and be like, Megan, what do you do when they pray? I said, I let y'all pray. I'm not going to be against it, but I'm not going to practice with you.
Yeah, makes sense.
And so they knew. And I once I quit, I got pregnant and I quit. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go head forth and I'm gonna do this. And I'm started practicing my Reiki practitioner, and everything was going good. Um, and then I started transitioning. I started discovering every client that I had. I was like, their mindset. I was like, okay. I started realizing that I started coaching them after my Reiki sessions, because they were just like, okay, well, what do I do when this happens? Or how do I shift this? Like, I always seemed to be the go-to person when somebody needed advice or somebody needed guidance. And even though I wasn't, they're my friends, and even clients that I have will tell their friends, go talk to her. I have her number. Like talk to her. Here's her email address. And I would just be like coaching people without even thinking I was coaching people, because I'm like, dude, I love this. Let's go.
Oh, I so relate to everything you're saying. Yes, yes, I
So
know what you're talking about.
I was like, am I really supposed to be a Reiki practitioner? And I, now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, no. I actually stepped away from being a Reiki practitioner just because this whole like coaching thing has taken on a force and a life form of its own,
Hmm.
that it was just like, okay, I don't do that anymore. This is what I do. And I found, because I love to study. It is part of I'm about to speak into some things. I love to study and I love to learn things. It's in my gene keys. And I don't know if your listeners or watchers know about that. But I implement human design and gene keys in my coaching program that helps support mindset shifts, because all of us are, we believe that we're supposed to be a certain way and be what people point out, because a lot, I mean, um you, I bet when people told you like, okay, well, you're really good at this, you should do this, and so you kind of transform yourself into that, even though
Hmm.
it doesn't light you the freak up.
Hmm.
I can say fuck. That's right.
Yeah. No, yeah. No, I hear what you're saying. It's like when you're raising the child and you're like, you're gonna be a doctor, and the child's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be a doctor. And yet they're like, I never wanted to be a doctor. So I hear what you're
Yeah.
saying. Yes, yes.
Yeah. They point out things that you're really good at, but they don't light you the fuck up. And but
Hmm.
you still do it because somebody was just like, good, you're really good at that. You should do that. And it kind of lights you up because you heard it. But
Megan, are you actually talking about my life right now? Because I feel like that's actually very accurate.
this is what happens a lot of the time. So I use human design and gene keys to, I look at your charts, and I hear people's story and what their goals are and their mindset, and I'm like looking at their charts and I'm hearing that, I'm like, holy fuck. Well, that's why it's not working out because you're using energies that aren't even yours when you should be using this instead of this. So this is how I use human design and gene keys. It's really, really interesting. It's it's just like, it's fun for me. I geek out on this all the freaking time. And people will hear me say, like I just said for myself, it's in my gene keys. Like literally, that's what it is.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So how did you discover this part? Because I mean, Reiki in itself is it's its own very beautiful healing modality,
It
but
is.
I never heard of Jinky. Like this was the when you and I connected a few months ago or weeks, months, I don't even know. There's been so many timeline shifts.
I know.
I don't even know. Like I honestly feel like I've known you my whole life when we connected. It
Yes.
was the first time I honestly heard of Gene Key. So from you stepping away from Reiki and still being a teacher, how like what happened?
What happened? This happened. Like it literally, I've deep dived into it because I was like, I don't know. Okay, so what human design in gene key is, it is your genetic energy blueprint that you were born with, that you came here on this earth with. It gives you like your personalities, what you're good at, what you're not good at, all that. And who how you're supposed to flow effortlessly in this life. And I was like, okay, well, let me see how the world I'm supposed to flow in this life. And the
Wow.
crazy thing is though, is okay, for you to get your human design and gene keys, you can get them for free. So if y'all want to pause, you can pause. You can go to myhumandesign.com and plug in your birthday, date, and time, or a birthday, place, and time. That's right. Sorry. And try to be as close to the exact time as you can get it, because you will have a more accurate chart
Mm-hmm.
than if you didn't. I say this because, like I said at the beginning, I know nothing about myself and my adoption.
Yes,
So
I
I
can imagine
didn't
that played a
know.
huge role.
I didn't know what time I was born.
You didn't,
But
huh?
me being an
Wow.
intuitive person, I was like, okay, I asked my team, I was like, okay, what time was I born? And I got evening. I was like, okay, well, was it early evening? Was it late evening? And they're like, late evening. I was like, okay. So I got at first, I my thing, what I got was at 10 at night, like late 10 o'clock at PM. I plug it in. I'm like, oh my God, this is me. But then some parts I was like, this is so not me. So me being me, I use, all different types of divination, tarot cards. I use automatic writing. I use dowsing rods. I use pendulum. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to use dowsing rods and I'm going to call my birth mom in. My birth mom has passed and she has connected with me through my dreams a lot a couple years ago. And I know this because I have medium friends, and all of them were like, Megan, that's your birth mom, and she's trying to talk to you. I was like, well, could you tell
Wow.
her to leave me alone at night? I would like to sleep.
Oh, that's
But
so cool.
so
Well, I mean, you
yeah,
probably
and
didn't think it was cool at that time, but I'm like over here all fascinated.
yeah, I'll tell you the story later because it's a crazy story. But I was like, okay, mom, I need you to tell me what time I was born. So, I start asking the questions with the dowsing rods, trying to get the exact time. I get the exact time, I plug it in, and I look at it, and I'm like, holy shit, that is so me all around. What in
Wow.
the world? Why did I not know this? Where was this when I was like a teenager? If only I knew this at a teenager. Because, like I said, my mom tried to mold me into this
Mm-hmm.
person
Mm-hmm.
and be a certain way. And I remember constantly telling her, and I wasn't trying to be mean when I said it. I didn't come from you. And I
Mm-hmm.
constantly had said that to her.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, she would get mad and triggered by it. But it was just like, Mom, I'm not yours.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't come from your I hope I can say this. I didn't come out of your vagina, okay?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I hear you.
And so, yeah, but I saw this and I was like, oh my God, that is me. That is totally me. So that is when my whole shift out of Reiki practitioner teacher happened, because it was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to be doing.
Hmm.
This is exactly what I'm supposed, like what I'm doing right now. I'm supposed, yeah, yeah. This is what I'm supposed to be
I
doing.
love that. I love it. It's funny because you even said it, you geek out in it. And you every time you and I have connected and like every time you talk about it in your podcast, because I follow your podcast and I love it. And you start talking about Gene Keys, Megan, you light up. Like you really are passionate about this. And I love the passion. And that's why I was like, I'm so glad we are getting connected because this passion is just you can't contain it and nor should you ever contain it. And so I love
Yeah.
that because it sounds like growing up you were being contained. It sounds like you were being contained into this box that everyone was trying to mold you into. And people hurt people.
Mm-hmm. And it's
Not
so funny that you say contained and whatnot, because in my Gene Keys, um, it says, like, okay, so there's, let me go explain some things about it. Um, so Gene Keys, there are three different types of sequences. There is your genius sequence, which is your incarnation cross if you look at your human design. It is why you came here on this freaking earth. Okay. Then you move into your Venus sequence, which is your love sequence, and as well as your emotions, how you cope and manage your emotions. Then you step into your prosperity, how you give and how you receive money. Though people like to jump into the prosperity one right away, but I will say this. I You don't have to listen to me. If you want to, you can. But people who jump into the prosperity right away, they will most likely, yes, succeed, but then they fall back because they didn't touch the emotions yet.
mm-hmm,
Because you have
mm-hmm,
to be in line with your emotions for you to be able to receive money. If you're
mm-hmm.
not there with your emotions in your relationship, that shit's gonna slap you in the face.
Yeah. Yeah, because scarcity mindset does create a lot of those emotions. And if we
Mm-hmm.
don't take care of those emotions, the scarcity mindset never gets taken care of.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I just said that because that's exactly where I'm at. Like with my own like me challenging my scarcity mindset because there's a lot of unlearning. And I think I'm curious now that you're sharing about your experience with learning about Gene Keys. At that point, did you feel like that was what really gave you the push or the pivotal point for you to actually like heal deeper?
What it made me do, because I've already done a lot of healing work, what it brought on to me and what I see with my clients that I've had and have who do work with me, it gives them a sense of, like, what's the word? It's it's almost like a confirmation of, so I wasn't wrong. This really truly who I
Mm-hmm,
am, and I
mm-hmm,
don't have to deny it anymore. Like, you know how people will you make you feel like you shouldn't be that way,
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
because they frown on it or they don't like it. So
mm-hmm,
you kind of shut it off because you're like, oh, well, they don't like it and I don't want to lose this person.
mm-hmm,
But when I read into people's gene keys and human design, it's like that light bulb on their head of, oh my God, this whole time I've been suppressing that, when it is me and it's supposed to me be, or it is, I'm supposed to be this. I no longer can contain holding this back anymore. Like it is, you're in a pressure cooker with me. And then when I finally read it, you're like, like, okay, that's it.
Oh, how
And
exciting.
people get so mind blown. I had one client who came to me last year. I think it was the beginning of last year. And she like you, she's like, I'm just, for some reason, universe told me to contact you. I don't know how I found you, but they like said her. And I was just like,
Oh, I love
and
when people listen to their spirit team.
yeah, I know. And they're like, I don't know what you do, but I want to work with you for some apparent reason. So like I work with, I tell her what I do and I explain it, and she's just like, oh, well, funny thing you say that because this is what I'm going through. And then I read, like, we have our session and her life has drastically changed. She's like, you have no idea. The fact that you open this door for me to be able to be comfortably be me, it's like changed my whole freaking life. It is a life that beyond I imagine. And so I'm like, see, this is why I do what I
I love that.
do.
I love that. So tell me, how did it change your life?
How did it change my life?
Yeah. So
Well,
once you were in the pressure cooker and once someone else turned it on for you, what did it do to you? Because I'm so curious to see how it
okay.
transformed your like. Because this is about you. So let's.
Okay. So what it did for me was I no longer hid who I was. Like here, yes, a few people knew what I did. The spiritual community knew of me and what I was doing. Um but then I finally said, fuck it. This is who I am and this is who I'm going to be. And so I started implementing my full authenticity on social media in public. And it was just like, I don't care if people react. Like, that's their choice. They can react however they want to. But guess what? I'm going to be me and I love me fully. So that is how it transformed my freaking life. My whole mindset on trying to please, because I am a recovering people pleaser. I'm I still sometimes I fall back and be like trying to please people, but then I have to be aware of, no, Megan, I'm here to please me. I come first.
Mm.
Okay.
Yes,
So
yes.
that is how
Mm,
it changed me. It was just like, nope, I come first. Y'all deal with your
yes.
own shit. If it triggers you, it triggers you. Maybe that's something you need to work on.
Absolutely. Trust me, I am also a recovering people pleaser. So I know. It's there's easy days where everything's like bounces off of you, and there's hard days where you're just right back to the same behavior and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Why am I doing this again? And then you pick right back up. So I relate.
Yeah. Yeah. So that is how it changed me. It literally was like, okay, I don't have to be this way anymore. I don't have to choose to be somebody that other people want me to be. I
Hmm.
can fully be me. And now that I'm aware of what I'm supposed to be doing, why I incarnated here on this earth, I was like, oh God. And then, like, this is where the fear comes in. It was like, holy shit, I actually have to open my mouth and speak. What in the world? Do you know how many
Oh.
times I've been hearing that from like my community, my spiritual community that I have like around the world? They're like, Megan, when are you gonna open your mouth and say something? And I'm like, well, you haven't. I have no reason to. Nobody's given me something to open my mouth. They're like, well, we are. So do it. I'm like, oh, okay. So yeah, now I
Oh,
do
wow.
it.
Wow. What an amazing experience. And to all of that, now that you have your gene keys, how do you continually use them, or the awareness of it or the knowledge of it? Because knowledge is power, and you've gained a
Mhm.
lot of power with this knowledge. So how do you use this knowledge to live your life authentically on a daily basis?
Well, because Gene Keys is okay. So Gene Keys is the divine feminine energy that we hold, whereas human design is your divine masculine. It's a solid. This is it. There's no other way. Gene Keys gives you the energies that you hold in specific parts of your. When I say life, I mean yes, your life, your emotions, your thought processes, and everything. So there's three different frequencies within a gene key. And if I don't know if you have yours in front of you, but there is the shadow frequency, which I like to call it the awareness frequency, because it's really not a shadow. It's more of like, that's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And there's the shadow, and then once you are aware and you choose to either stay in the shadow or be like, you know what, I want to shift, I want to pivot, let's
Mm-hmm.
move up to the gift.
Yeah.
That is the next frequency. Then the third frequency is it's called the CD. And that is your true essence. It's pretty much enlightenment. And now knowing each of these different frequencies in your gene keys, it makes you more aware of your presence, like your presence feelings, what's going on around you, because you'll be like, oh, this is how I feel, and this is how I feel, where I feel that I'm at. And you start to look around and be like, I wonder what's triggering that. And then you'll be
Mm.
like, aha, it's just like an eye opener, like, oh, okay, but do I really want to choose that? Then you're able to shift and pivot it and be like, okay, now that's what I want to see, and that's how I want to be. And so that is the type of thing that, like, it does to me personally, and I know for other people that I've worked with.
Mhm.
And it's an amazing thing. It just brings on a total different awareness.
Oh
Like, I
wow.
love it.
So okay, so now you said something that's interesting, because we were focusing on gene keys, but then there's also human design.
Mm-hmm. To Okay, the reason why I do both, for you to better embody your gene keys, it is really important to know and embody your human design. And as I was saying to you earlier, if you jump into gene keys and you haven't yet embodied your human design, you're pretty much fucked.
Yeah, because it's technically, it makes sense, because it's the balance. It's the yin and the yang. It's the
Yeah.
dark and the white.
Mm-hmm.
It's the masculine and the feminine. So it does make
Mm-hmm.
sense that there has to be a balance between the two. So
Yeah.
it makes sense that you use both of these as your modality in your coaching.
Mm-hmm. And it's really important for me personally. I know there's other gene keys who will, like, and I'm not saying they're doing it wrong, who will just jump in and go straight into gene keys, but and along the way they'll explain their human design. But for them to better understand their gene keys, they also have to look at the human design chart. So it's always best to look at the human design first, because that is solid. There ain't no changing it. Gene keys, no, you can't change it. Like, you have those gene keys, but gene keys, you can shift and pivot the energy of it. That's why there's
Mhm.
three different frequencies. Human
Mm.
design, it's like, no, you're this. You're not changing it. Like for you, for example, you are a okay, so there's five different types of human design. And there's manifestors, generators, manifesting generators, projectors, and reflectors. Okay. So each of them hold a different type way of flowing in life.
Mhm.
And it all is has to do with your type. For you, you are a manifesting generator. I'm a generator. You and I, we make up 70% of the world.
Mhm.
Now, you probably thought you were a manifester. Like, I thought I was a manifester, because, like, you probably manifest shit real good now, right?
Yeah,
Like
I
you
yeah.
got it on lock. Like, man, for me too. I was like, man, I'm a manifester because I can manifest shit real good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, no, I'm not. But it's okay. It's okay. So what makes you and I so freaking great, not saying the other ones aren't. What makes us I really it
Sorry, not sorry, you guys. You don't belong in the cool club.
does.
This is only for us manifestors.
What makes us, you a manifesting generator and me a generator, only these two have this, is a closed sacral center. If you're looking at your human design and it's the square, it's the second square to the bottom, and then it's either going to be colored in red or not. If it's colored in red, that means you have a closed, defined sacral center, meaning you have an overflowing amount of energy that is meant to be used. All the other types do not have this. Like projectors have to snack on their energy. They only have a limited amount of energy. Manifestors too, reflectors, man, they like they need a lot of rest, okay? A lot of rest. And they're unicorns. You know, I did the group that we were in, the thing that we were doing, I did come across a reflector. She said she was a reflector. I was like, "Oh my god, you're a unicorn?" They are like freaking unicorns. I was so excited and so happy. But you manifesting generator, me a generator, how we're supposed to flow in this world, we're supposed to wait to respond, which I know if some of y'all, I know, let me explain.
Yeah, did you see my did
Let
you
me
see my
explain.
gears? It's like, what?
Exactly. The wait to respond gets us every friggin' time. Now, and I know some of y'all are like, but you said we have this overflowing amount of energy. Yeah. But wait. We are supposed to wait to respond, meaning that and we're always given something to respond to, like the weather outside, the food that we may be smelling, um, to the TV show we're watching, to the music that we're listening to. Our
Mm-hmm.
body is always responding to something. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily you have to wait for somebody to say, hey, respond to this. No, you're responding all the freaking time.
Mm-hmm.
So we generators tend to think that we're able to manifest shit and that we can, like, because we have so much energy and we're like the doers and the like get shit done people. So we mistakenly think that we can like initiate shit, and we can't. We have to wait for somebody to give us something to respond to. And you can showcase. I know you're like, fuck. Wait, what?
No, that is so true. Keep going. Keep going.
See what I mean? Um, and now let me explain, because you're a manifesting generator. What makes you, they're the hybrids of manifestors and generators, but they're more generators. They tend to be more generators than they are manifestors. The only thing that makes you a manifesting generator is that you have a closed throat center, which is the top square in the center. Okay. You have a defined throat center and you're supposed to use your throat. But that doesn't mean as a manifesting generator, you're supposed to initiate. No. So y'all are probably like, well, how am I supposed to like manifest shit? Well, here's the thing. If you want to manifest shit, you showcase what you want to manifest. You don't go out and promote, like, hey, look what I can do. Look. Do you want this? Do you want this? No, that's you initiating it. It's just you going and doing what you do, and people taking notice of saying, oh, you do that? Hey, can you, if I ask you to do this, would you do this for me? That is somebody giving you something to respond to. A lot of times as generators, when we try to initiate shit, at first it will be successful, but then it starts to go downhill. The only reason why is because nobody's asking for it. It's like you tried to initiate something that nobody really wants. You may want it at the time, but nobody else is kind of like, hey, I really need this. This is why we have the closed sacral. So we can give the world what they need. If the world isn't asking for it, then why use our energy to make it and create it? So that's where I stand on that. So you're just like, oh my God, she slapped me in the face.
I am it's a good slap though. It's not
It is.
I'm
I
not
call it
like
the oven mitt slap.
yeah, like it's more for me just hearing this, it's making sense of the times I have manifested and my manifestations have come true versus the times I have manifested and the manifestations did not come true. And I'm just like, I know I can manifest. Why isn't it working? But that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
sense. So the perfect example that's coming up right now when my friend Lynette, who I've talked about on my podcast, she was the one who introduced me to tarot and really brought me into this side of the dark side. Um, I it, when she passed, I fell into my own depression and I was just so sad and I really missed her and I wanted to connect with her. And my response to her passing was, I want a black female cat so I can have her with me because she was a witchy. I mean, she was a witch. She was super witchy. She was into Halloween. She loved everything Halloween. I love Halloween. So black female cat. A
Mhm.
few days later, a black female cat comes into my life. And I was just like, yeah, that's right. I'm a manifestor. I could manifest this shit.
Mhm.
And now that I've been on this journey of entrepreneurship and I've been manifesting, I'm like, why are my manifestations not coming true? But it's because of you're right.
If people aren't asking, then it's not going to come into fruition, especially for us generators. Manifestors, however, they make up 10% of the world. Okay. Let me put it this way, because this is how my friend mentor put it, and it totally made sense. So manifestors are the people with the ideas. Let's say we're making a movie. They have this idea for a movie. So they are like, oh, I want to create this movie. So then they go try and find the actors and the actresses. That's where us generators, we're the actors and actresses. You are the improv actor because you're a manifesting generator. You can change, do shit, whatever at the drop of a dime.
I
Us
really can.
generators, it's kind of like
Like I really can.
you told me to do this, and this is what I'm sticking with. That's what it is. Then you have the projectors who are the directors of the movie. They're the ones who oversee the movie and make sure, okay, I need you to say it this way. I need let's pull this back a little bit and move that up front. They're the ones that direct the scenes. While the reflectors are the ones who evaluate the whole entire production after it's done and over with and gives the final say. Okay. That is what reflectors are. I've never met, yes, I know I came across one on our thing, but I've never met actually completely spoken to a reflector. And if you find that you are, whoever's listening to this, oh my God, can we please connect?
Yes, please, everyone. And I'll be sure to put it in the description of this podcast episode, the website where you can go and find your human design and your gene keys
Yes.
because we need to find out more of what we are because it sounds like it also sounds like the more again knowledge is power. If you know this is going to really help you in whatever moment of stuckness, not even a word,
Mm-hmm.
stuckness that
Yeah.
you're in.
Yep.
Because Yeah, it's like get ready to get your mind blown.
Yeah. And that it's this is why it helps so much in coaching, because it opens your mind and it makes you aware of, wait a second. I'm really that and not that. And I'm like, yeah, that's you. The mind starts to go and
Hmm.
like, okay, all right. This is where I fit in. And it gives you permission without shame, without guilt, without questioning yourself. Because if you look at your life, because I do have a lot of clients who I ask them, hey, I really want you to reflect on your life and see how you acting like this caused this versus, you embodying what you really truly are, and the result of that. And then they like go back and they look and they go, holy fuck, really? That's all I had to do. I'm like, yeah, I know it sucks, doesn't it? And they're like, God, it didn't have to suck that long though.
I know. So speaking of that, speaking of not having for it to suck that long, do you, personal question here, have you gotten your kids gene keys? And okay, I was like, come on, you have to say yes. Okay. And how do you incorporate it as a
Binder.
parent?
How do I do? Okay, so it's so interesting because, I have my husband and I, we have a blended family. And my stepkids, they're all projectors. My two youngest ones are manifestors, and then my oldest one is a manifesting generator. Girl, I'm like, what the fuck do I do with all of you different types of energies? But now that I am aware of who they are and what they are, it's like, okay, take my 10-year-old, for example. He is a manifester. And I will say, before I knew all this, when I first started this, I was like really hardcore in my parental, how I parented. It was like, okay, this is this, that is that. Everybody gets the same thing, and da 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 da, Now that I know he's a manifester, because I was like, why do you like press my buttons so much? But now that I know he has a closed throat center, meaning he's got a defined throat center, I'm like, oh, you really are supposed to use your voice. Damn it. Fuck.
Oh, that is so
Hey,
funny.
fine. Call me out. Do whatever. But, they that's what it is. My two.
I wish my parents knew that about me when I was younger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh.
My 2-year old, I know his human design. And if you I also look at his gene keys mostly, because if you look at your gene keys and your Venus sequence, I'm just going to go a little into it. The SQ sphere is I believe it is, God, what was it? Okay, it's your spiritual awakeness, your spiritual awareness, which is from 0 to 7 years old. This is how you connect to spirits. Okay,
Mhm,
because 0 to 7, this is before you're conditioned and like brainwashed into believing and doing certain things.
mhm,
You are
mhm,
more connected to spirit at this age.
mhm.
For my kid, who is 2 years old right now, has gene key 22, and I have gene key 22 placed 3 times in my sequence. Dude, okay, so the shadow is dishonor, and the gift is grace, and then the CD is graciousness. And so I look at it this way. This is how he's connecting with spirit, with everyone, shall I say? Because when I say spirit, I mean we're all spiritual beings.
Mhm.
having a human experience. So
Mm,
this is how he's connecting with everything. So
yeah.
I look at him and I'm like, all right, you're totally being an asshole right now. This is
2-year
you're
old
you're
can be assholes, everyone. Trust us.
he's in his shadow. I call it the asshole frequency. And I'm like, can
I
we
love that.
turn that's what I've come to learn and know with him. I'm like, you're in the asshole frequency. But then I look at the line and I'm like, oh, freedom. This is why. If I take his freedom away right now, if he feels like his freedom is being taken away, yeah, he's going to be in asshole mode. So
Oh,
I know I have to be a parent and, safely guide him. But I also, now that I'm aware, I'm like, okay, how do I turn the asshole off without taking away his freedom? Let me give
choices?
you the freedom to choose. You can either
Yeah.
do this or do you want to do this? Or we can do that, but not this. So you have the freedom to choose from here,
Mm-hmm.
not there. And
Mm-hmm.
so he'll be an asshole for like a minute or two.
Mm-hmm.
But then when he looks, he goes, oh, wait, that's over there. I want to go play with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then the asshole gets turned off. And now he's like, great. And he's
Yeah.
like, thank you, mommy. So this is how it plays with me when it comes to Gene Keys, just to know where he's at. Even for my teenagers, I read my stepkids last week that they were here because they were like, now that you know what time we were born, did you look at ours? And I'm like, yeah, and it is, oh my God, so accurate. And
Wow.
they were like, I told them, and they read what it said on theirs, and their mind was so blown. They're like, oh my God, this explains me to a T. I'm like, I know, right?
Oh, wow. That is so fascinating to me. It's so fascinating just to see how I don't even have the
You're
words to
just like,
describe it.
yeah, I know.
Like I'm just like just right now mind blown because it's like this shit's real.
This is real. And like looking at your gene keys, and when you were talking on one of your episodes, I think it was the last one that I commented on, and you were talking about how you would like judge people or like
Oh yeah, the shit talking one. Yeah, yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
shit talking one. I was like, oh my God, she is so living in her gene keys. Like it is hilarious. Because I remember watching that, and before I watched it, I was looking at yours, and yeah, I'm gonna read the book. There's this big thick book for gene keys that tells you like what each gene key is, but I also get like intuitive messages as I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, damn, but here's the thing, I was like, damn, if I'm allowed to say this, I was like, she really does stay in her head a lot. Like, oh
Yeah,
my.
I do. I'm not gonna deny it. Yes, I do. And it's that is one of my many kryptonites is getting in my head. Oh, so yeah. So keep going, keep
and
going. This is
and
fascinating.
here, because like, okay, so your life sport, if anybody's looking at their gene keys, and you look at the genius sequence, which makes up the life's work sphere, the evolution, the radiance, and the purpose sphere, um your life's work and evolution are going to be sister brother spheres, so they're going to be kind like the same but opposites. They're going to be well matched together,
Mm-hmm.
so they're going to be in the same kind of energy type but just semi differently. So when I was looking at yours and you were talking after I looked at yours, I was like, holy shit, she really is. Like your evolution is judged, like your shadow, the thing that you are challenged with in this life that you will constantly face and experience that you are supposed to master is judgment, is stepping out of judgment. And like though your life's work shadow is opinion. However, opinion, you can shift it, you can change it, but judgment, it's like this is this. There's no other way. There's it
Mhm.
like that. That is what it is. That's the thing with judgment. But if you can step out of it and be like, let me look at it in a different way, and you can step back away from your pride as well as the other person's pride and find in like the gift integrity within yourself
Mhm.
while allowing the other person to hold integrity too.
Mhm.
Like that's your biggest challenge is like, I gotta hold my pride down, man. I
Mhm.
can't be too judgmental.
Mhm.
And when you were talking, I was like, oh my God, at least she's aware of it.
No, for sure. It's but so this is where it's fascinating for me too, with the gene keys that and the human design, because a lot of it also, this is what I'm talking about. Like, it's so mind blowing how, like, divine, like, how we're guided in life. Because my
Mm-hmm.
whole life, one, I grew up, the reason why, and I talked about it in my podcast episode, so I don't care. Like, the reason why I was a very judgmental person, a child, and everything was because I would, like, the pressure that was put on me to be perfect, the pressure for me to be this, like, um perfect kid, this perfect student, this perfect daughter, the perfect, like, and then the comparison. Like, I was always compared to everyone and everything. Like, uh, hello, that was just like a creation in its own self of, like, of course I was
Uh-huh.
going to be like a little monster in my head of judging everyone because I was perfect. But yeah, I learned in my early 20s that that was not, yeah, that wasn't healthy. But I really learned that in my late 20s and my 30s, where I was just like, yeah, I need to stop doing this. Like, something's wrong because this is
Well,
not healthy.
it is funny that you're saying that because if you're looking, when you look at yours gene key, and you're looking in the Venus sequence, your IQ is going to be your mental state of mind of how you defend yourself and how you um what is it, shape the world, because your IQ is, it's the IQ sphere. It is going to be the ages from 14 to 21.
Hmm.
Your sphere for that one is the same gene key as it is in your life's work. 17, though life's work is 17 for yours, for the IQ it's 17.1. The shadow of it is opinion. So, like I said, IQ is your defense mechanism. How did you use opinion to defend yourself?
Yeah.
Now, and then I'll ask you, how did you use it to defend yourself?
I molded myself to fit other people's opinions.
Yeah.
Like, if someone needed the A plus student, I became the A plus student. Someone needed the perfect girlfriend, I became the perfect girlfriend. Like, I molded myself to fit other people's opinion. And honestly, that was, I had, during one of my rock bottoms in my own life, like, that was something that I realized in my marriage. I mean, my ex-husband and I have a good relationship now, and we did decide that we're better off as friends than we are
Mm-hmm.
married together. But that was because I didn't realize in early in our relationship, I cared so much about his opinion. I changed my, like, I changed things about me
Mm-hmm.
until later on when we were, like, married. And I'm like, perfect example, and he knows this, was football. I hated football. I've always hated football. But when I met him, all of a sudden, he loved football. Oh, football's okay. Oh, you should do fantasy football with us. Sure, why not? And then I just got into fantasy football, and I actually became really good at it. To this day, I don't know anything about football, but some odd reason, I'm really good at fantasy football. It's weird. But I realized that later on. I'm like, what the fuck was it? I don't even like football. Why am I doing this to myself? So that's when that was when a lot of my pivotal points in my life where I was like, I need to stop living life for others, because that's what it was. I live my life for others. I was not living my life from even, and I even talked about this in my podcast episode, my very first one. Even creating my business originally, Love Your Now to Row, wasn't for me. It was for my friend Lynette who died. It was for me to
Yeah.
honor her, but Love Your Now to
Oh,
Row wasn't for me. It was for
yeah.
her. So, yeah.
There you go. See? And this is how Gene Key plays a part. Like the fact that you said what you were just saying, like you molded yourself to fit other people. And I just confirmed it. Yeah, your mindset was created from the ages 14 to 21, and
Mm-hmm.
opinions played a big part on how you maneuvered yourself in the world. You
Mm-hmm.
didn't want to, well, let's just say you
That's a
wanted
trip.
to please people so badly
Mm.
because you didn't want to get opinions on, you know, but yeah, there we go.
I think that's so fascinating, especially when you're saying the ages of 14 through 21. I started working at the age of 14, and that was the first time I was outside, like out of my house, like,
Mm-hmm.
because growing up in an abusive household, growing up with an alcoholic father, growing up with a workaholic mother, a codependent mother, me being the oldest, when I turned 14, it was like the first time I was like, I legally could get a job so I could work. And
Mm-hmm.
I started working. And that was when I um, became my own, like in a weird way, became also a workaholic, because I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be the best employee. And I want, like,
Yep.
that is so fascinating. 14 to 21. Yeah. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Makes so much
14 to
sense.
21. Isn't it
Wow.
freaking crazy? How accurate. I know. I still get mind blown. I know I've been doing this for like a year and whatnot. Like I've implemented human design and gene key into my coaching thing for a year because I was like, oh my God, what in the world? Where has
Yeah.
this been my whole life? And here it is. This is literally the blueprint of how you, what types of energies that work well with you and that you're supposed to flow with.
Mm-hmm.
So it helps to know this a lot, especially when it comes to changing your mind, which you seem to be in your mind.
I know. I'm working on it though.
No, like it, but the fact that you are very aware of it, but your mind is going to be your biggest strength
Mm-hmm.
because this is where you're able to process things. And looking at your human design again, you have a hope open you have an open head center, which is the top, very top triangle. And that being said, you're getting hit left and right from everything. The only gate that you have closed is 61, and the 61 gate is the gate of knowing. And you have this pressure to, for you and for me too. I have an open one as well, and I only have 61 gate closed as well.
This is why
That
you and
I,
I vibe.
yep. We get pressured into knowing everything. We always feel like before we can answer, we have to know it. Okay.
Stop it.
No, I'm serious though. Like that is our issue because it is a pressure point where if we don't know it, we feel so we beat ourselves up for it because we don't know it. We feel like we have to know everything before we can even do it.
I used to be
Like
called Miss Know It All. It's so true. So true. And it's, I take it, I don't know if you do this too, Megan, but I take it a step further. And if I don't know it, I will find the answer. Google. Where are
Yep.
you at?
Yep.
Like, I will
Yep.
find the answer. I am not one to just say, I don't know. I will say, I don't know, but let me find out because I will get you an answer. I'm not going to sit back
Yeah.
and be like, well, I don't know. That's it, and leave it at that.
Yeah.
No,
I
I will get
hate
that
saying
answer.
I don't know. Like it is the most dreaded thing that comes out of my mouth. But I will say this. I have gotten more comfortable saying, you know what? I don't know that yet. Let me go look.
Yeah.
And like, if I don't know it, I at least know where they can find it.
Yeah.
So I feel comfortable saying that. I'm like, you know what? I don't know that, but I do know you can look here and you'll find it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the pressure of freaking knowing sucks, y'all.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. And I think that makes so much sense of why I have been feeling so um not overwhelmed. It's not the because I haven't been feeling overwhelmed,
Mhm.
but since I have really dedicated my full time and my life purpose and everything to my business, I have felt this urge of like I just want to learn and I want to gain all this knowledge and I just want to know all of this. It makes sense
Yep.
because I want to know.
I want to know. Yeah, that was me too. Me, I like really wanted to know everything, and if I didn't know it, it eat me alive. Like the my what I've known in the when I was working at the school, I worked at an elementary school and in life skills, and so I was the go-to teacher when it came to, hey, how do you do this? I was the easy button on a lot of things because I seem to know everything and I also seem to know how to work things. If we didn't have it, I could like make shit up and say, guess what? If we get this and that and put this together, we got it. And they would be like, how in the world did you come up with that? I don't know. But somehow I did.
I love that. I love that. Oh my God. This is so fascinating. This is so fascinating.
Yeah.
Um, I I feel like we should definitely dive in deeper in a second part because there's so much more I have questions about.
Now I'm like,
Uh
I got a question.
yeah. And for my listeners, because energetically, I don't want all of y'all to be drained. But for sure, like let's continue on a deeper dive so we can go in deep with my gene key so that way you can show everyone what exactly it is that you do and how you do it because
Mhm.
I'm already mind blown right now. And we only like touched the surface. I'm assuming
Yes.
like we only touched a little
Yes.
bit.
There's so much. And this is why I tell everyone you cannot go all balls deep like I did. I went that mistake. Balls deep into learning all of it because there's so much and it gets overwhelming. And it's very important that you take little at a time and you really integrate it. Like you learn your human design type as well as your authority and strategy. And those three things, you integrate that into your life. You then can move on to the next thing, be like, okay, now I got the flow of that. Move on to the next thing and integrate that shit. Then with the same with the gene keys, you learn these specific, or I don't say learn, you gain the knowledge of these specific gene keys that you have in yours, integrate it, see how it works for you, see what jives, what doesn't, and uh it's like, oh my god, where was this like when I was a teenager?
Right? Right? Oh my God, this is so fascinating. So fascinating.
Yeah.
Wow. So for sure, we're gonna dive in deeper next episode, everyone. Don't worry.
Yeah.
But I do want to respect everyone's attention span
Yes,
because
yes, yes. No, yeah, I get it. I know there's a lot.
there's a lot.
There is.
Um, Megan, is there anything else you want to share or anything or any just do you have anything to offer to our listeners today?
Yes. I say this all the time to everyone. Your mindset is everything. It is what creates everything. And if you haven't heard this yet, everything is created twice. Once in your mind, then another when it comes into fruition here on this earth. So know that it all starts with the mind. Once you can change it, once you can pivot it, everything else around you starts to change and pivot, especially in your favor. So that's all I gotta say.
Mm, so true. So true. And I've seen that. I've experienced it myself. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. Thank you, Megan. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you so much. Um, I will be sure to put it in the description how people can reach you, how to book any services with you. I know that you are located in Texas. So for listeners that are not located in Texas, what would be the best way? Like, do you do offer virtual in person?
Yes.
Like what's your deal?
Actually, everything I do is on Zoom. Um, like I said, I don't practice Reiki anymore. I do implement it sometimes, but that's on a rare occasion. So everything is done through Zoom. So you can do it on the other side of the world if you want to. I'll try to be awake, but I can't promise anything.
Sleep, hey, sleep is important. I don't blame you. I don't blame you. So yes, I'll be sure to put it in the description for any of you who want to go and check Megan's website out or even check her out on social media. Give her a shout out because this is great stuff. And this was absolutely something that can help any of you who are feeling just in a container, feeling
Mhm.
like, why don't I feel like any of my life is making sense? Maybe we need to look at your gene keys and your
Mm,
human design, and
yeah.
maybe stuff will start making sense for you because it sounds like that's probably what I need right now, too.
Yes,
Oh,
girl. That's what
thank you
I'm
so
here
much,
for.
Megan. Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you
Oh,
so much. It's been an honor. Thank you for having me.
no, thank you. Thank you. Oh, all right. Well, to all of my listeners, thank you so much for being here today. And with all of that, I am sending you all so much fire and butterflies. And as always, don't forget, love your now. Bye.
Bye.